edition of our 5x5 Just Junk Journal. I want to do some tags and maybe like a belly band, like a collage belly band. So here I've got gathered, I have some old business cards, clothing tags, packaging, various packaging pieces for tag bases, or I had dyed an old file folder. I cut a piece of that off because it was all like this, really ratty. But I could use this for tag bases too. So you need something for your tag base. I've got all my little trashy stuff right there. I have a piece of cardboard that I just swished some white paint on. I found an extra piece of trash. I found this old book cover. And so I decided that I could use it for paper or something to line things with. And what I did was I took a piece of my corrugated cardboard and rubbed my ink pad all over it and then pressed it down onto here to make lines. So I have journaling lines. So that was just something, I'm not going to demo it because it's kind of, really easy, just to stamp down a page to get some lined paper. So I've got that. I do have some of my clear plastic from a packaging left too. I've got that. I've got some of my book. This one's an undyed page. I've got a dyed page and a piece of my wrapping paper. And then scraps over here to the side from where we've, been making things. I've got some scraps over to the side. So that's kind of what I've got here to work with. And I think I want to start out, and I do have some extra packaging here, and I have some pieces of the tissue box that we had cut off, the cracker and tissue box. I have those. So I have like lots of little things to work with. For right now, I'm going to push some of in my images. I forgot to say that from my book. I've got some that I actually cut out so it maybe won't interfere so much. I think the first thing we'll start off with is doing more like a belly band. And I'm just taking a piece of my book page and I'm going to tear it down. This is probably about 1.5 inches wide or so. I'm going to tear that down, and I may go ahead and make 2 of these. And I'll ink across these. And I will be stitching these on my sewing machine. You can stitch down these by hand. I prefer to do it with the sewing machine though. So I'm going to ink the edges in case any of that shows. This is going to be the base for my band. Excuse me. And I may end up bringing in a piece of clothing for this. I keep debating about whether I was going to or not, and I did find a shirt that I had stuck back in my fabric pile. Excuse me. And I may end up bringing that in. In fact, I think I'll just get it and we'll look at it and see if we want to use it. Hang on. Okay. It's just a white summer gauzy shirt that's got a little bit of lace cap sleeves, and it's got a couple buttons, and it's just a gauzy, it's got a few little, and I tossed it in here. It's just worn to death, and tossed it in my fabric stash thinking I could dye it or something and use some of the fabric, and I never did anything with it. So I do have that, and I guess we'll test. Let me just test a piece of it to see what happens if I try to do that stenciling technique on it. Kind of what it looks like, because it's a trashed piece anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Whoops, sorry about that. Too much stuff on my work surface here. just want to see what it looks like if you put some of that on there. Oh, that actually looks kind of cool. Okay, maybe we will use some fabric. I wasn't sure if I wanted to or not. I was like, I don't know about this. Let me kind of, I don't know if this fabric, will it tear? Let's see. Yeah. The shirt's so old, I'm surprised it doesn't just rip completely. Oh yeah, it tears good. We'll tear a little piece off of that. Yeah, okay. That tears kind of nicely. Like a couple strips. So I'll have some of the brown and some of the white. Okay, so I guess we're going to add an old piece of clothing. We'll have some fabric. And I might want to go ahead and cut off some of the lacy part. I'll cut off one of the sleeves. And since it does have some buttons, some little pearl buttons, it's got 3 or 4 buttons on it, I could use those somewhere. I'll reserve those for right now. Just want to look some little bits of this. I think that's good enough for the shirt. We'll just go for that because I can either use it white or I can, you know, lace is kind of hard sometimes to tell what is the right side and what's the wrong side. I can dingy some of it up. I'll dingy a little bit of it up on one end with the ink that's just left over in my dauber. And then I'll leave some of it white. Okay, that works out good. So now we're just going to take some papers. I'm just going to kind of rip mine down. I like the edges torn, not necessarily. And you can ink all these if you want to. I don't think I'm going to mess with that. I'm just going to start putting some papers on here in any kind of manner, really. There's a little bit of that yellow in that spine. Oh, it's got a piece of tape on it. I bet we take that off. And I'm just going to put a few pieces of things here and there, and then we'll fill it in. There's a little bit of tea bag. Put some tea bag in there for color. And right now I'm not arranging anything, I'm simply tearing. Because I think by the time I sew everything on there, I won't need it to be that thick. Be easier to cover too. So let's go and tear one of those in half. And then I'm going to layer this thing up and run it through my sewing machine. Okay. I'm going to use some little pieces of this fabric. Kind of altered some of that just to give it a little background texture. I think that looks better to have something behind all this. Now you just have to make sure that everything touches and kind of crisscrosses, especially in the middle, because you're going to have stitching down this, and just kind of tuck. And some people glue, and there's a glue, I was going to look that up. There is this glue that tacks things down. I can't think of what the name of it is, but it's for sewing. I will try to find that and link it below, because it's a really cool glue that you can use for when you're sewing. and tacking and things like that. And these don't have to be any certain kind of way. You're just going to kind of fill in wherever you think something needs to be filled in on here. And I want to use a little bit more of this tear up a little bit more of this cardboard maybe, and stick some of that in there. Maybe a piece of that yellow somewhere else too. And you kind of just have to make sure everything crisscrosses or touches or something in there. And I will add a little bit of some of these lace bits. But I'm just going to add them as little bits and pieces here and there. And these always look horrible when you're doing them. These just don't look nice when you're doing them. They just really don't. These never look very nice when you start doing them. They look weird. And you can layer on top of this even though you sew one little layer or whatever. And then I am going to use, where are my images? A little image on here. Actually, I think I'll try to use some of these like this. Like, I think I'll do the turtle up here, and the butterfly's a little large for what I want. Let me see. Whoops, got the bird. Could just do the bird on the bottom. I think I'll just do the bird. Now, I'm going to slide this off onto a piece of paper, and I'm going to, not the bunny, the bird. And the reason why I put an image here and an image here is because I'll probably end up cutting this band in half to go in my book. And I might add a few more little droplets of, just a couple droplets of this for texture of the textile, and I'm going to sew up and down this. So I'll be right back, and then I'll show you what I did. Before I take this up, I thought you might want to see what I'm doing. I'm taking this paper, let me see if I can scoot this up because I need to do it from the bottom without messing it up too much. Maybe you can see the end of that right there. I'm taking another piece of paper and I'm sliding it gently under there along this piece to pick it up. God, my hands, this drives me nuts. I cannot get that up. Maybe I can do it with this. I need to lift that end of the paper up, and I can't get it with my fingers. There it goes. Okay, I got it. I'm just going to kind of lift and slide, and I can put things back in if they kind of tuck out or whatever. My paper was a little narrow, and I thought, okay, if I could slide it in there and get a double length, I think it would be better. So, anywho, now I can slide that off onto my hand, and I have a wide sewing surface on my machine, so when I lay this down, it'll pretty much stay like I do it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so what I did, I left that second piece of paper on there. It gives it a little bit more stability. I just stitched a zigzag stitch. Now I'm checking, and everything caught on mine because I crisscrossed it and made sure everything touched the middle. Now if anything seems too loose like this, I would recommend that you go in with a little bit of glue and kind of tack anything down that you think might catch or tear in your journal. So I'm going to just use a little bit of glue wherever my glue went. Sorry about the reach. And I'm just going to tack a few things in here and leave this just as it is. I'm just going to tack anything like, I don't want the bird's wing to come off, or I don't mind things being a little fluttery, flighty, but like this is some of this is old paper. And I know that if it's not tacked down, it's not going to, last. Or it's thin paper. The wrapping paper is vintage and it is thin. And so, anything that I think, like I don't want this image here to tear, I think I'll tack a little bit under it. just enough to tack anything down that seems like it might be loose. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit more of the ink, and just in any spots that I feel need it, I might hit some of that fabric, you know, some of that really white edges or something. And then you can take this and you can use it as it is, or you can cut it down, which I'll probably end up cutting this one in half and using it in my book. Like this would be a band and this would be a band. And where I cut it, I'll put some glue on the stitching on the ends just to make sure that it doesn't come undone. In fact, I'll go ahead and cut this into a band. I'm going to cut it about right here. Well, let's see. I think I'll make that a little off cut because I don't want that bird to. So what I'll do is use a little bit of glue. I back stitched on the ends, but I don't want this to come undone. So I'm going to use just a little tiny bit of clear glue to dry there so our stitching doesn't come undone. And probably, let's see, tear this end off here and ink it, and then since I tore that close to the stitching, I'll put a little bit on there just to make sure so that nothing comes undone. And that gives you a couple little belly bands with some imagery in it. They're just messy belly bands. They're not meant to be, you know, specifically, you know, but just a little belly band. And then you could even, like on this, you could take some of your other paper, and I kind of like that. Leave this more straight. Back it with something, because this is again thin. You're going to be sliding things in and out. But you could back that so that the band, you know, has a background. You could glue it on as a background. Or you could glue these onto the bottom of tags as, let's pretend this is a tag. Where's a piece of cardboard? Here's one. If this was a tag, you could also do this and then cut it to size to do almost like a cluster on your the bottom of your tags. Okay, I've got here some tags and little business cards and just a packaging, a variety of things to work with, and I thought I would pick a few of these that I want to use in this journal. Just looking at shapes and stuff here. I like this because it folds. Let's do that one. How about a round one? Just a regular, like a business card one. I'm not going to do. I'm only going to do 3 or 4 while we're on here. I do like the folded. Do I like that one or that one better? I like both of those. Okay, let's just pick out a few of these. Or you can cut a tag shape from your cardboard and you can angle the ends. Take that corner and put it over here so you get the same angle. And I got that one a little bit bigger. And let me kind of trim this bottom. It's a little crooked. Or you can do something like that with just your cardboard. Or here's a piece of packaging that's already pretty well shaped up. It just needs a little rounding of this corner to kind of make it match somewhat. And it's already got a hole in it. So I think I could see the angle of that better if I do it from the back. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. Or you can do something like that. So these we can use as tag bases. And the first thing we're going to want to do is, of course, cover these bases with whatever we're going to use. I don't think I need that anymore. For our, like you might start out just with some of your plain book page, or you might want to start out with some of your paper, like this, you know, as a background. And I'll just do a variety of things and add some paper to these. Trim away the excess. And some of these I'm going to add the back side of the wrapping paper so that it's plain, because the back of this is plain, so it'll be a writing space. So, or you could, or this would be a writing space if I want to do something on the other side, but something fairly, you know, plain, so that you could, you know, have something to write on. So, there's one. Let's see, where's some of that book page? I kind of like this tree. I think I want to... Now, I'm going to focus when I do this, because every time I do this, I've done this so many times before, I think I want to use that, and I glue it just like that. That is not how you glue it. You glue it on this side, on the back. I've done it so many times, it's not even funny. And I'll go like, oh, that wasn't what I wanted. So always remember, if you're going to look at something like that, to flip it over. Of course, you might not be crazy like me, so you probably wouldn't do anything crazy like that. I think you've got the gist of what I'm saying here, you know, about covering your... So, I'm going to pause for a second and cover several of these so that I have the backgrounds to work on. Okay, so I covered... This was the chapstick tag. I covered it with a piece of the tree book and a piece of wrapping paper on back. This was the cracker box, wrapping paper, and then the stamped book jacket. And then this was the little folded tag, and I put wrapping paper on the outside, and then the inside I found a fairly blank thing that says parts of a tree. So I'll probably add a little leaf or something here and do something sort of related. Then I thought I'd do a couple small ones. And these I thought were really cute. I'm just going to try to get some text or some, I don't know if I want it blank on the back, or with this one I want some color on the back. And this is just a little tag that I'm going to glue down to some of this yellow paper, the book jacket here. And I want the words out on this, because this will probably just be more like a little decorative tag. And then we'll come back and do a little decorating on it. I hope I put it over far enough. Oh, I should have scooted it over a little bit. Oh, it still moves a little bit. Okay. I wanted it kind of on those, with the words on the back. So I'll just cut this one out. And then glue an image on the front, and then I can repunch it and put some string or something in it to just hang it in the book, almost like a little charm there. And then I thought this was so cute as a little hibernating chipmunk, so I wanted to glue this little chipmunk on there. kind of holding it up to see if I can get it pretty much to the light where he's on there. Part of that word hibernating is going to show, so I may glue another piece of paper over that. Or it might look cute to say hibernating. I don't know. Let's cut it out and see. Okay. Well, it kind of takes that off right there. So I might take just a little piece of the yellow paper and glue across the top and then cut it off. Just because I don't like, if it had the whole word on there it wouldn't be so bad, but with just a part of a word it's not, doesn't look very nice. So let's just add a little piece of paper there. Or do I want to add the words on that side? Maybe little words. No, just solid. And I think I'm going to have to put a little more glue on that because I think I kept peeling it up. I think I'll try another new patch because I think I messed that one up. There, that looks better. Get a little ink and ink both sides of that, and it's ready to punch. And now you could layer this on something else. It doesn't have to be a little tag. I just thought it would be cute. Something like this would even be good for your page tabs. You know, you could leave a circle and just do it on the edge of your page, you know, like that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him, but he's cute. We'll just leave him like that. I'm going to go ahead and ink these on both sides, and then we'll design a couple of tags. And I'm going to keep these fairly simple, and I'm not going to do a ton of variety here on camera because, I mean, you know, tags are kind of personal and how you do them, and I'm just showing you how I would cover them and, you know, a couple of little quick ways to decorate them without, you know, a lot of fuss and mess. This is kind of more of a straightforward journal, and, you know, I do want it to be for more writing than, you know, the pretty one. I mean, I want it to be pretty, but I don't want it to be, I want it to be functional too, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, that one kind of, that wrapping paper's so old it kind of cracked there. I'll probably have to add a piece of paper across the top of that since it cracked. Okay, and I cut this out of the dust jacket of a book that, it was an old dust jacket that was torn up, and it was a nature book, and so I cut this off. And I'm going to use it on this green tag here. I think I'm going to do it this way toward the edge. Probably have to tip that off just a little bit. Maybe not. Okay. I'm going to put this down. And like I said, I'm keeping these fairly not too, I don't want them too bulky. And I want them to be fairly, you know, clean as far as how they're done. I don't want a lot of fuss and, you know, stuff on these. Now, if you want to do that in your tags, you just feel free to do that. And I may just do a simple stitch around, and I don't know that I'll do anything more than just this image. I might add some, a phrase or something. Don't like that. I was sitting here looking at what I had, and I was like, there's not really anything that I want to add on there right now. So for now, I'm going to just have this on there. Now that might change as I'm decorating the book. Often what I'll do is kind of do some bases up like this, and then as I'm going through the book, when I kind of figure out where they're going, I see what they need. So this one, I'm probably not going to do much to it right now either. There's my little chipmunk. Oh, he's kind of cute. Now see, he would even be cute tied on here, like with this tag. That could be cute too. Let's look at this one that's got the, let's see, it would go this way. Parts of a tree. I didn't know if there was any, I had an image here that was a whole scene. I don't like that leaf at all. Sorry for all the rustling, but I'm trying to find it. It's like everything's disappeared in the pile of mess. Tell you what I'm going to do. Hang on. Let me find what I'm looking for and I'll come back. Okay, this is what I was looking for. This one that had all these trees on it. I need to find something or figure out how I can, I guess I'll make myself a paper pattern. Scrap. I don't want to use that scrap. There's another scrap. This one will be fine. I'm looking going, no, I might use that. I might use that. I need this piece of scrap paper. Good grief, Sammy. Okay, I'll use this. I'm going to take a pencil and kind of, well, if I can get a pencil to come out, kind of draw around this because it is sort of an oval shape. Kind of get it, I'm going to turn it over and see if I can get it somewhat oval shape. And then maybe I can cut that down to size for what I want to do. I want to make that into an oval, but I don't have an oval punch, and with this I'm trying to use the least amount of extra tools and anything that I can. It's just sort of a challenge. I was wondering if I could kind of fold, and how big do I want that? Maybe I could kind of oval it this way from about here to about here, somewhere like that. Maybe I could follow the lines. That is not ovally, I can tell you that right now. Let me fold it this way too, like a fan. That way I'm getting the same curve. I'm hoping that I'm getting what I want out of this little piece of paper. May have been a moot point. Okay, that did not turn into an oval, did it? That is funny. That turned into a funky circle. You know what? Maybe a funky circle will work. I wanted an oval, but hey, I'm not going to be picky. A funky circle will work. Okay. Just to make my life easier, I'm going to glue my circle in there and cut around it. Kind of hold it up to the light so I can see where to glue this circle. I want to get the trees in there. That's all I'm wanting is those trees. And I know I could have just free-handed a circle. That would have been much easier, but you know, why do things the easy way? In my brain, I was cutting an oval, but I cut a circle, so circle it is. Okay. There, I got some trees and some ink. And I need to see if I want to layer this or just, let's see, which is the, let's see, this side would be the front for the writing to be in there. And I don't know if I want to layer that, or I don't think so. I think I want to keep it fairly streamlined and fairly clean. Kind of glue that little circle of trees on there. See if that looks pretty fairly straight. I'll probably, as I'm going through here, add a little verbiage to that, and I need to add something here at the top, and maybe I'll use a piece of this where I've stamped it, because that is very fragile right there with that paper, and so I may add a little, just a little hinge of fabric up there. See how wide it needs to be. And it doesn't really need to be but about that thick. Just so that won't tear that edge right there. Just going to put a little tiny glue here, a little tiny glue on the back side. Just enough to hold that. Let's see, put the more fray edge this side. It doesn't need a lot. Just enough to fold over a little. I'm not quite fond of that, but I don't know what else to do since I'm not using any other. I'm sure if I ink it, that will make me like it more. It won't be so white. And I am correct in that. That doesn't bother me so much. And then when you open it up, it says the parts of a tree, and I thought about tucking in the tips of a little leaf, like maybe a little leaf or something here. Let's see, I'm going to just cut this off, so I'll just ink the whole thing. And then you still have some writing space in here. And what I thought about this one, because the tag folded, and I like that the part, it's kind of fills that up with leaves, the parts of a tree, and then it's got trees on the front, is I thought that this would be great as sort of a bookmark in the journal. So you could close it that way, and you could always jot something down there or in here. So I'm going to leave that one like it is, like this one like it is. Like I said, a lot of these I usually don't decorate my tags until I'm kind of putting them in the book. And like I said, what are they across from? What do they need? You know, I had another little teeny tag here. And I had a butterfly. Where's that butterfly? Oh, that's too big. That's bigger than the tag. Yeah. I thought just to do a butterfly, but that one's a little larger than what I was thinking. I think I'll glue. Oh, that's not the glue I was using. So why I want that open? Because it's not been opened yet. That was not the one I was using. Okay, we'll put some text on one side of this one. It's just a little scrap of that green. And I want to be careful and balance out and not put overpower with that green. So I want to kind of balance these out a little bit too. You know, so they're not crazy with all the just green. I think some of this yellow is enough for the back. It is, it's just enough. Just wide enough, barely, to kind of go on the back of here. And I'm not worried that my stripes are not going the right way, because this isn't really something I think will be written on anyway. It'll be just a little, you know, just something small that you can add to the page. And I'll repunch it in a minute when I get to that part. Just going to ink along the edges of it also. And I'll just continue on doing this with all these little tags. And this one, I want to use it this way with the text up. And what else do I have cut out already? Let's see what I had a few things cut out. These are all big. I know I have some small things. That little chipmunk is cute, isn't he? I had a little rabbit. I don't think he's too big for that. I may have to cut something else. Yeah, I think the chipmunk and the rabbit are both too big for that. Yeah, a little large. So, well, I think you get my gist. I'm going to stop here, and that takes care of 2 more items for the journal. I'll just try to do maybe 1 or 2 more things, and then we're going to stop and bind this thing. So, thank you for joining me, and I will see you around the studio.